The world has never been so well mapped as it is today. You can walk down a street in a country you've never been to before and look at a map on an electronic device, and it'll show you not just where you are, but also what the best way to get to where you want to be is. The unexplored terrain of the world is growing smaller and smaller, and yet there is a terrain of the world that we still don't know enough about, and that's the terrain of how we as people make sense of the world. This is the question about when you're lost in other people's views of you, or you're completely twisted around by the great complexity in your work situation or your family life. We're the maps there that help you know here's where you are today, and here's how you could get to where you'd like to be tomorrow. Well, I've written this book, Changing on the Job, Developing Leaders for a Complex World, to help you find your way a little bit more easily in this world that can be seriously complex and hard to navigate. It helps you figure out not only where you might be now, but how you might find a path to where you'd like to be next, and how to support others to find that same path for themselves. So I think this question about how can we live in a more complex world is probably more important for leaders than for anybody else right now. Leadership has gotten so much more complex in the last decade or two, and now sometimes I think, as I work with my own clients, I think leadership is very nearly impossible. Not totally impossible, but close. The question about how do leaders make sense of their world, and how could they increase their ability to make sense of a complex world, and how could we, those people who support leaders, those of us who work in the field, those people who lead others, how could we help become more complex in our thinking and our perspective? How could we handle the great complexity of the world with more grace and more ease? This book will help leaders with that, offering practical suggestions, things that we could do right away to begin this path of becoming more comfortable with the chaos and the complexity of the world, beginning to make order, and trying to figure out what do you do when the order won't come, and how do you lead through positions of great change and uncertainty.